Hey Stevie, this is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. We're going to go through and talk a little bit about your mechanics and sort of break it down frame by frame and sort of step by step, and take a look at places we can kind of get you a little bit more efficient, places we can get you using a little bit more of that lower half, and just try to get you to a point where you can repeat your delivery, you can get maximize your body, get the most power out of it. And then also keep ourselves, in a healthy spot too. So one of the biggest things for you is to sort of clean up your initial setup, clean up your initial start, and that's going to help you with timing. Pitching is all about getting to that point where we can repeat our delivery every time. All right, so you're initially off the bat, you got a good setup. All right, a lot of times you're going to see kids get really big with wherever their foot steps. All right, we're going to look at your head and sort of your posture over the rubber. You can see you do a pretty decent job at kind of staying over your foot, not getting too crazy with anything. All right. So now one of the sort of the cleaning up parts is, you can see that watching your glove is, as that leg comes up, that glove pops up, almost above your head. All right. So the more movement that we get with that glove, you can see that they come down and they break right here. All right. All that does is starting up higher and throwing them down doesn't give you any more arm speed. It doesn't give you any more velocity. All it does is just kind of leads to inconsistency. The more that something has to travel, the harder it is to break your hand at this exact point, at this exact place every time. All right. And that's the whole key of consistency, is we want to try to break our hands at the exact same point, at the exact same place. All right, like if you're drawing let's just say that was, the perfect spot for you, X, it's going to be hard to hit it at that spot every time with your hands starting up here. All right, so what's going to make it easier is you're going to have your hands down a little bit lower, because you're going to want to come out down here. Now, if you're a guy like Billy Wagner or something, and your hand comes out, you break your hand right here, and your arm's already going, that's a different story. But since you do drop it down, we got to try to get those hands, just kind of eliminate that distance a little bit to make it a little bit easier for you. So all you want to do is just kind of getting, right here, try to get your initial setup maybe, a little bit lower, a little bit into your body, but keep it right there. As that leg coming up, your hands are still there, and then, maybe you can get that timing of once that leg hits those hands, now that's time to break. All right. So what we want to try to see is at the max of your leg height, which is right here. All right, it's probably right at this frame. What we want to try to see is the timing of everything is our hips start to go forward, we start to get that momentum, and then our hands start to break. All right. So what you can see that your hands are still way up by your head, so you're going to start breaking your hands late, which is going to lead you to some problems down a little bit that will show. But another thing too is posture-wise, as you can see, you're starting to kind of lean out over that front foot a little bit. All right, if your head, we're out a little bit over that front foot, we want to try and stay back a little bit longer. All right, stay back on your backside a little bit more. But as we watch, okay, you can see your body's starting to go forward, legs going down. Now your hands have that ball's coming out of that glove, so it just happened a little bit late. All right, and all that's going to do is that's just going to cause your arm, we'll show you here. All right, you're going to come up, and it gets up going, and it kind of has to play catch up. It gets up really early. All right, and that just kind of causes some issues where you're kind of throwing uphill, pushing the ball instead of downhill. If we draw this, and I'll explain this a little bit more, you can kind of see your elbow go up and that ball go up instead of basically the ball going down and using that mound to go downhill. All right. So what we want to try to see you is get to that point of you got a pretty good lower half. All right. Initially, try to get this a little bit more closed off, so that kind of gets your hips in a little bit better position to lead down the mound. All right. So at that point, all right, you got your hips driving down. All right, you're doing a pretty good job here getting down the mound. You're getting that glove out over that front foot pretty good. All right, so now at foot strike, which is right, once that front foot first hits the ground, which is probably about right here, looks like your heel hits the ground a little bit. you can see how your weight's kind of already out over that front foot, right? That knee's sort of over your ankle a little bit. What we want to try to get to is at this position is we're still over our back hip a little bit more. Oops, I'll use the wrong drawn thing. Is we want to try to get a little bit more here, try to get a little bit more extension with our legs. All right, so now we're more about right here, and that's going to cause you to get, maybe another half foot of stride length. All right. So basically, and all that sort of stems from is just your hands getting late. Just sort of that initial sort of break is we can probably pick up another half inch or a half foot length of stride length, and then you're going to be able to see yourself rotate your hips before that upper body. That's called that torque, that hip-shoulder separation is getting that hip to go before that shoulder. You can see they're kind of rotating at the same time. All right, so now what I was kind of talking about, that how everything sort of goes up from here, is you can see how, that elbow kind of follows that line up. All right, so you get from there, following it up. Now you're releasing that ball. All right, that back foot's off the ground, and that front foot's straight as you're releasing the ball. All right, that leg shouldn't straighten until you've already released the ball and you're following through. All right, so all this is just showing us is that you're just out front a little bit early. You're starting that rotation early. All right, what we want to try to see is if we get a little bit longer here, and don't think about trying to force the length. Think about just keeping your hips closed longer, using more lower half. But what we're going to do too is staying back here. That's going to get keep our elbow. There's going to be a little bit of up, but as it gets to about right there, maybe, now because our back foot's going to be on the ground still, we're going to be able to drive through that back leg and create more angle. So now that elbow and that ball is going to start to come downhill. All right, so maybe at this point, through that release point, now it's going to start going down. We're going to use that mound to get on top of the ball and throw it downhill, and use that basically our whole body to generate some power and some velocity, instead of that uphill sort of throw. All right, and again, this will get easier as you get older, get a little bit stronger. All right, so we just want to try to get to that point where we're driving all the way through that back foot. All right, and then what that's going to get us to a point is that back foot's still going to be on the ground. We're going to create a little bit more of this angle. Our head's going to be out over our front foot here, so we're going to basically create this triangle right here. All right, and then your front foot, that front knee is going to be right over that ankle at this point here. All right, and so now that's just getting you to a more powerful spot to release the ball. You're going to pick up about another foot of release point. The ball's going to get on the hitters a lot quicker, and so it's just something that will get easier as you get older. You're a young kid now, but overall it's a pretty good setup for you. You got a pretty good idea of how everything's working. Now it's just a matter of sort of cleaning up that handbrake, and getting more momentum down the hill quicker. Trying to just kind of keep your hips closed longer and just get on top of that ball and throw it downhill. The reason those coaches like those big tall pitchers is we're able to get up on top of that ball and drive that ball downhill with more angle. So the flatter we are, the more pushing, that ball is going to be flat. It's going to be a lot easier to hit. So you want to try to get a little bit more angle on it, not changing your arm angle, just trying to get to that point where you're staying back longer but finishing following through. If you're going to follow through, you're going to get more angle on that ball. So anyways, hopefully you're able to work on a few things, get a few things out of this. It's always easier to see yourself on video than just kind of hear coaches tell you stuff. So thanks again for making it out to camp. Hopefully you had a great time, and we look forward to seeing you again with ABC.